Well, hey everybody, how are you? Um, Wanted to cover this topic today because as I've told stories about this before, about gossiping in the workplace and this type of thing, you've heard me tell the story about the group as a whole, the paralegals and the staff, runners, receptionists in one law firm. They went into ostracization mode of me because I wouldn't gossip with the group. Okay, so let's go back to the question I asked in the title of this. What do you want to be thought of in the workplace? How do you want to be thought of in the workplace? It's very important, and if we haven't had anybody mentoring us in this way, I had a fabulous mentor as a 19-year-old who was cluing me into certain things. That getting to work at 8:25 when I was due at 8:30 might seem logical that, hey, I got there early. She said it would help you. It would serve you well to get here if you can. 15 minutes early. It will go a long way with your bosses, with the even the president of the division that I was in. This was not a legal position, or the vice president. And she said, don't get mad, don't shoot the messenger. I am just telling you how it is, and it will go a long way. And I said, okay, because I knew she said, I have your best interest at heart. I have no other motive for this. And that there was such wisdom in that. And I know that one of my bosses must have talked with her. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to do this. Now, I didn't have kids to get off to school or worry about. I was a 19-year-old single person. So I could get there at 7 a.m. if I wanted to. But I started coming in really early. Then what I saw very quickly is that people started making comments. The management started making positive comments about that. They took notice. But I also found out something very interesting, that I got a lot more work done before those phones started ringing, before my bosses came in, before my mentor boss came in. I was there and I got a lot more work done. I could do some filing where I couldn't get to it during the day. So, but the main point of this is, what kind of reputation are you building? And you might never have had anyone talk to you about this in your life. And the first time, I would say, it's really the second mentor I had. I had one at 18. But this one was mentoring me in so many other ways. How to be socially, how to be a little more adventurous with things that I wanted to check out, meaning a lot of people wouldn't be interested, but I always wanted to go see a play, and I did at 16, but I wanted to see an opera. I just saw it on a variety show with people singing, and it wasn't really thrilling to me, but I wanted to go see that in person. And she encouraged me that way to go do that. And I've only done it twice in my life, but it was like a bucket list item. So what kind of reputation are you building? It's much more than the quality of work that you're doing. It's all this other falderall that goes on in the workplace. It means, are you wasting time on instant messaging type, on an instant messaging type of service? It used to be AOL, instant messenger, and now it's just that we can go on and waste a lot of time without the boss knowing. But let me clue you into something that you may not know can happen. That if your boss decides to check out just how much time you're wasting, they can record every keystroke on your computer. They can read your emails. So be very conscious. Toe this line and keep it where you are keeping everything on the high road. You're taking the high road, and you are not falling into these traps. When you go into a workplace and you're interviewing, it's very difficult to tell the culture of the law firm unless you hang out with the people there. It's very difficult to determine what's really going on there with the staff until you walk in. I've walked in where the person whose place I've taken, 2 or 3 times this has happened, was loved by all of the staff. Now I come in as a new person and they don't love me so much because I'm taking the place of that person that left. And it's not my fault, but they miss that person and they don't like how it went down or whatever occurred. But it has nothing to do with me. I'm just a new employee. But they will act very junior high-ish, and it takes a while to break through that wall. Really takes a, and there can be a lot of bad mouthing going on, and you have to divorce yourself from that. You totally have to divorce yourself from it. It can hurt your job. It can hurt your reputation on the job, and everybody's watching. The staff wants you to be part of that nonsense, some of them, and the supervisors, your direct supervisors, don't want you to be part of it. So you have to ask yourself, hey Memphis, good to see you. You have to ask yourself, who's writing out your paycheck? Who's giving you your paycheck every week or every month, however they do it? They're the people. You have to be congenial and nice to the staff, but they're not writing your paycheck. So be very careful about falling into that trap. It will bite you. It will hurt your prospects. So there's this very, it's almost animalistic, the way that people want you to be in the herd. And when you break out of the herd, you say, no, I'm not going to act like that. It can at times not be too pretty. And that goes for any workplace. Any workplace, when you break out of the box and you say, I'm not going down that road. And, you know, it can be lonely. So what I did to combat that in the one time, it's happened more than once. What I did to combat it is I made sure that people that I became friends with in other law firms, that we established that friendship and kept it up by going out to eat maybe once a month. And I wouldn't go there to talk about the law firm. I would go there just to keep friendships established. So I wouldn't feel that I was out, on my own. And if I needed some assistance, I could call one of them and say, have you ever done such, and, or ask them if they had a form that I needed. But that pays off when you make friends, with other paralegals. And yeah, hi, thanks Memphis. It's through the School of Hard Knocks. But it's, you really want to be friends with everybody. And honestly, it took about 2 to 3 months in this one law firm for all of that to settle down and calm down, and them to realize that they were doing the judgment game, and they didn't even know me. They had no idea who I was. So the attorneys were happy that I was not involved in that. They knew they had a big problem on their hands, but they didn't have the courage to deal with it. They did not have the courage to call people in and say, you've got to stop wasting time. I mean, there were several of us working really hard all day long, getting the work done, getting ready for trials. And then there's all this laughter going on. Nothing wrong with laughter, but they were not doing their work, and their filing was building up and nobody said anything. So I couldn't worry about that, but I was very observant of it. And it can be maddening, but I had to focus on my own work and not let them color what I did. So keep that in mind. I talk about reputation a lot. It is what you're going to build your career on. besides the quality of work you do and how great of a problem solver you are, not somebody that shrugs your shoulders and goes, I don't know. That is not smart to do. You have to say, I don't know, but I'll find out. And you might even leave the I don't know off and say, I will find out how to do it. Even if you have no clue, you're gonna be on a hunt to find the answer to what that attorney needs. Okay, so this is a question to ask yourself. When you make a mistake, and when you were growing up and you made a mistake, how was it handled in your family, and how did they respond to a mistake, or how did they respond to you? And does that color how you handle confessing to a mistake at work? It certainly did for me. But I had mentors along the way that say, it's okay, Leslie, we can fix it. I've had attorneys say that to me when I've been really visibly upset over a simple mistake, and they're saying, oh, we've done that. Don't get so wound up over it. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. So I learned to fess up right away to, I did this, but I have this solution. And the attorney has said, let me hear it. He goes, okay, that's fine. As long as you have a solution and a system to not make that mistake again, I'm fine. And the attorneys have made mistakes, okay? Most of them have told me that. So, and they've confessed that. So the question is there something in the way you were raised or your own personal beliefs where you kind of go into running away from things or hiding? Then that has to stop when you enter this field, because you have the client's life there, that you have their future at stake, where you have to file the right things. You can't make all these mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, you have to own up to it. And if you can't get your filing done and it's starting to pile up, you say, as try as I may, I can't just stop working on important stuff and file. So, it may be that you have to stay later one day a week, or work through your lunch hour and get paid overtime for it if the attorney agrees to it. Workarounds, instead of letting things get out of hand, right? Okay, so here's a question. In what one area do you need to be more truthful and to have higher integrity in your life? Whoa. For me, I was a very good liar as a child because I was afraid to tell the truth. I was afraid of the repercussions, okay? And what that flashback that I would get, not so much as being smacked or anything, I don't mean that, but the intensity of the displeasure by my parents for a simple thing, and so you start to hide. But in the professional world, it's got to be it's time to adult. It's time to handle it in a very adult way. And you have to own up to it and say, but when you own up to it, come with a solution, because that is who we are in the legal field. We are detectives and we are solution providers. And we have to determine that in our heart and in our minds, that that's who we are before we ever step into this field day one. And that what red flag, when people say to me that they haven't researched areas of law, that they don't know what they're going to do, that's too ambiguous. That is too up in the air when it's easily solvable. Go do research on Google. Go figure it out and find the answers for yourself. It doesn't make, because when you go in the law firm, you can't react that way. I don't know. That really seriously does not fly. Yet, people will use that as an answer because it's been accepted in the family, maybe in other workplaces, but it is not accepted in the legal field. You know, you'll be out of there faster than you can say, you know, potato. They just need somebody who's going to be a problem solver. And that's the persona that you have to take on. Whether you believe it about yourself or not, then you better be a darn good actor or actress, because that's how you have to go after it. You can't be afraid to talk to clients on the phone. You have to help solve the problems as long as it doesn't involve giving advice. Even if you know the answer, you're not allowed. Okay? That's another area of high integrity that has to be taken on, that you don't give advice. You're not a licensed attorney. And you never will be unless you go to law school. So, you know, paralegals don't do that. So take that very, very high road. The question today is, what one area do you need to have higher integrity, higher honor, a taking the high road kind of attitude? You know, have you been that person who's been a gossip monger? Hey, I got off on gossip. It just, you know, I enjoyed it at times, but I had to change the way I was. And I didn't want to be bad-mouthing people in my own family or at work, because if I'm going to talk about that person, the person listening then knows I'm going to talk about them too. Because if I'm a gossip monger, I'm not going to be choosy about who I gossip about. I'm just going to let everybody have a bit of that. But that's not what we want to do in the legal field. Okay, and boy, did I see it in that one law firm. And a lot of them had worked together for many years. And so they had that nailed down. And they didn't want anybody upsetting the apple cart coming in. And there were hateful things said, you know, and laughing. And that type of demeaning behavior, really like 11 and 12-year-olds. When I changed schools and went to a public school from a private school in New Jersey, it was the same thing. And that's really incredible that those people had not changed. And that's sad. That's very sad. And it's far from professional. But you know, one of the things that opened the door is that the one lady had a tragedy in her life, and so did I, and we started talking about it, and boom, those doors opened. She was a force in that law firm, and she started telling everybody else, she's okay, I'm okay, this chick here is okay. But that's not how it should happen. You know, it should be open door, you are welcome, we hope you'll feel like one of us, you know. And that's how it should be. No game playing, but it doesn't always work out that way. So then you have choices to make yourself as to how you're going to move forward. And no, it's not easy. It's not. And, but the choice is very clear. You know, the person who gives you your paycheck is far more important when it comes to how do they want me to be in this law firm than the staff wants you to be. Okay? So when your name is mentioned, what do you want people to think about in your professional life in the law firm? You know, do you want an attorney to say, oh, I just hired this new paralegal and she is incredible, or he is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. That's what you want to hear. Or you want to hear that maybe through the grapevine, or maybe from the office manager who will say they're really impressed with you. That's what you want to hear. You don't want to have them think, oh, why'd we bring her or him in? Why'd we do that? That was a major mistake. That's a nightmare, right? To be thought of that way. So yes, I can address these issues because I've faced them. And it was, yes, it was darn hard, very hard. There were days I went to my car and just cried because it was so difficult. And I was bringing in the only paycheck in my house for about 3 years. And then my husband was able to land a job and things eased up. But as a lot of you know, there's a lot of pressure with that type of scenario. And it all worked out. But I was determined I would not be so upset that I would leave that job because I needed it. And I would not have anybody force me out, like staff members. No way. No way. So if you don't have that toughness, you have to develop it. And yes, you can tell a lot, and that's part of what I teach in my course about how to interview properly. So you take away a lot of the nonsense that may be a red flag for you, that when you interview correctly, you can ask the right questions, and I give you a lot of those. But you want to ask questions in the interview yourself. You cannot be that shy that you don't protect yourself, that if there is a red flag, you want to find it out. And so this type of thing, though, with the staff is not easy to find out, because you have to be with them for about a week or two to understand the culture of the law firm. And so you won't know till you're in it. You know, I wish it were different, but that's the way it is. With interviewing with the attorney, you can find out a lot by asking the right questions. Okay. All right. So I'm going to sign off. I hope this was helpful. I stay on this thing with reputation because, you know, you have to take that part of it seriously, that the more you know, the better off you are. And that's okay if you feel pressure about that. Pressure should drive you and not stop you. That type of pressure should make you excel and not stop you. If it stops you, that's a whole other problem of why is it stopping you? You know, no one has 100% incredible self-esteem. We all have insecurities, every single human. So don't feel alone in that. It's a process of learning, but you can learn a whole ton before you go in, and how to help the attorney. And then you will excel. But all this other stuff, take the high road. Okay? All right, so that's it for today. Have a great one. Don't forget, if you have not gone to my website, get the 19 alternative paralegal careers list. And also, I'll give you the website name. Get a the free chapter of my book, Legal Break-In. Or you can get the whole book there. It's on the website. And the website is paralegalcoffeetalk.com. And one last thing. If you are not connected to me on Instagram, I'm going to be on there more. But it's Paralegal Coffee Talk on Instagram. So go over there and connect with me. Okay? And I will talk to you in tomorrow's video. Have a good Thursday night and do something for yourself tonight. Okay, take care. Bye.